We are watching in real time the California election, the way it started, the way it was looking wonderful for Spencer Pratt and Hilton, shocking the world in the early votes, the first few hours of vote counting. We're watching it all drip, drip, dripping away. Dripping away because California's rules allow a primary election to be carried out over weeks. Is that a rigged election? I don't know. You tell me. But what's different this time than in the past where this has gone on over and over and over again, what's different this time is the entire world is watching and calling it out, including our very own president in real time, tweeting this out yesterday. The Democrats are at it again. They are trying to steal the governor of California primary, the mayor of Los Angeles primary, away from two great Republican candidates. Here we go with the very late massive numbers of mail-in ballots. Yeah, it's happening in real time. And as this is going on, Seth Keshel calls it out perfectly. He says, appears to me the election malfeasance in California has three goals in no order. Disrupt the Dem lockouts. They're at risk of being locked down. California 6, a safe Dem pickup on paper. If safe Dem pickups on paper are in danger, it tells you there's no blue wave, folks. They want to push Hilton out of first place for governor. He will still stay in second unless they can really, really knock it back. But push Pratt out of second place in mayor so he can't run to the general election. A particular concern to the cartel there, his marketing style left with another 5 months to work, and with LA's continued malaise, if anyone could catch lightning in a bottle and create a real election problem for them, it's Pratt. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Now, as the votes roll in, counted late, things are changing. Hilton was up 2.4% yesterday morning. It's now to 2%, and they are whacking away at it slowly but surely. Will they be able to knock him out of first place? That is a question I can't answer. I do think it's unlikely. It would be a little too obvious, but then again, when they're desperate, they don't care about being too obvious, do they? 2020 would like to have a word. They are going all out. In fact, we have LA County Sheriff's Department using helicopters to fly in ballots from vote centers, picking up ballots from cities including Lancaster, Santa Clarita, Palmsdale, Lakewood, Santa Monica, Van Nuys, Pomona, and Torrance. Once they arrive, ballots are securely transferred inside where election workers receive and process millions of ballots. But LA is huge. But it also makes no sense they allow this to come in so late. It says this is interesting. It's the perfect opportunity to introduce as many mail-in ballots as needed without questions. Exactly. Because who can watch all the helicopters, everything they're loading up? Because, oh, yeah, we just got to do this because LA County is so big. It provides cover. See, they might not be always that smart, but they are clever. And they've perfected this until it was being watched. And now it's being watched. They're using one processing center so they don't have to coordinate rigging elections across multiple offices. Could be one easy to control operation at this one facility. We need a federal audit of California elections, but there is fraud. This morning, California was at 58% counted. 15 hours later, now 56% counted. Guys, X is allowing us to watch this in real time. This is a good thing. I know it sucks if you're California and you're being discouraged right now. You're being disheartened. They are going after you. But the thing is just like in 2020, when Trump was so overwhelmingly ahead and they had to obviously bring it back, we're watching that happen real time now. And the difference is now we have 6 years of being woken up to this fraud, of being alerted to it, seeing it over and over again. 6 years where the American people are more ready. We have X now completely on our side. Well, completely. But Elon runs it, and Elon's not a fan of election rigging, so he's allowing this all to be shared so you can watch it. And again, we have the president calling it out in real time, getting many, many eyes on it. You better believe they're watching a lot more closely than even we are, because Trump, one of his big goals is to end the election fraud. As Brian Cates put it, are you ready? You were told to watch California in the drops. This is not county, it's not city, it's not state. This is the U.S. attorney in L.A. This is federal. They can't stop it. They just can't stop it. There are races for federal office on these California county ballots. That's true. The state representatives they're getting ready to send up are federal elections, which means we have jurisdiction. Up until now, and I mean right now, all these corrupt states and corrupt counties got to run their elections, including elections for federal, in whatever slick-ass Persian bizarre manner they wanted. Gird your loins, the great American election reset's about to launch. Will it be done in 30? Clean, swift, we'll see what happens. Now imagine if this is all done at once in the next 30 days, because it's happening in real time, and Tulsi Gabbard's leaving. What is she going to drop? I don't know, but it is interesting, and this is why I think it could be good. Now, here's another great breakdown here. Trump's post is not about a county or a delayed count. This is exposure phase before architecture shift. Public attention is being pulled towards slow tabulation, federal investigations, chain of custody concerns, and procedural fragmentation. Election integrity executive order requires cultural readiness before legal execution. The ground gets softened first. The EO layer falls second. And what if the Supreme Court, which did not release the mail-in ballot decision today, unfortunately, but they still have 12 decisions to release, and they need to do them before July. We have 12 decisions coming from the Supreme Court this month, including the mail-in ballots decision and the birthright citizenship one. Imagine if we get the mail-in ballot decision where they say you can't count after Election Day while they're counting in California. Are you ready for a wrench to be thrown in, folks? This is going to be very, very interesting how this all plays out. Now, while all this is happening, Scott Bessent had some nice words for Gavin Newsom. Listen to Bessent.
I think Gavin Newsom may be cracking up with some of these things he's saying. I think he may be in over his hairdo. And being on the national stage is very different than being governor of California with no signature achievements. But to say strange things like President Trump is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. What the hell does that mean? I could say Gavin Newsom is a brontosaurus with a brain the size of a walnut. And if he brought the knee pads, maybe that was for his meeting with Alex Soros. I don't know. I think Gavin Newsom may be cracking up with some of these things.
Knee pads for Alex Soros. That's a call out, don't you think? A little Soros money going to Gavin. I love it, man. It's the king of the put down. Bessent is awesome. And yeah, that was a little bit older clip from a couple months ago, but who cares? It's very timely right now, and it tells you what the Trump administration thinks about them. Now, again, timing is sometimes everything, right? Politics and comedy especially. And Seth Keshel writes, all this BS in California is ensuring the Supreme Court kills the practice of counting late arriving mail ballots forever. That's beautiful. And I think he's right, because the Supreme Court hasn't released this yet. Now, everybody expects the Supreme Court to undo the crazy mail-in ballot rules, but we don't know for sure. However, with this happening in real time, Keshel's absolutely right. The pressure is going to ramp up because California is too disgustingly obvious. It's driving everybody crazy. Even Nate Silver is coming out saying it's insane. I listened to a lot of, not a lot. I listened to a few regular pundits in the industry, political commentary types. And you know what they always say? They're all saying it. They're all saying this is insane what California does. It's insane. Now, they won't say it's fraudulent. I was listening to Two Way this morning, and what's his face? It was Mark was talking to I can't remember the MAGA guy's name, but regardless, he was like, "Don't you understand, Mark, that this is why we think elections are rigged? Because this is insane. This is insane what's happening in California." To which Mark Halperin, old mushy middle Mark Halperin, admitted, "Yeah, it's crazy." And then he had to caveat it with, "But there's still no proof of fraud." Dude, the process is the proof. The process is the proof. That is undeniable. But again, they can't say it. They can't say it. So what does the Trump administration do? They're going to show us. I mean, listen to how insane this process is.
California's biggest primary races taking shape tonight. Republican Steve Hilton leads the crowded gubernatorial contest so far. Meanwhile, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is headed for a runoff as she deals with challengers from both ends of the political spectrum. Officials are urging patience as results could take weeks. Yes, weeks to settle. Correspondent Matt Finn with a report from Los Angeles tonight.
We are going to continue moving our city forward.
LA Democratic Mayor Karen Bass fails to get 50% of the vote and is heading into a runoff. Ballots are being counted to determine who she'll face in November's general election. With 63% of the vote counted, the AP reports Bass is in first place. Reality TV star Spencer Pratt is in second.
I was born for this, clearly.
Progressive Councilwoman Nithya Raman trailing in third.
This city should be a place that's welcoming for immigrants.
Now, here's something that should give you hope. And it's that Pratt is a fighter. He's a fighter. And I don't think he's going to go down easy. I don't think if he sees this taken from him, I don't think he's just going to roll over. I think he will challenge and keep bringing the challenge up. Okay, because it's obvious right now that they're most afraid of Pratt. They truly are. And so they're really going to try to run him out. They're working on stealing it from him. Hilton, they still feel very confident about their ability to keep the governorship race even if Hilton stays in. So like Keschel said, Hilton, if he can just drop to second, that's optics. Now I will say, like, what the heck, man? What was like Bianco, who I know some of you love, and that's fine. I get it. But you cannot deny that Bianco should, like, he would have been better served dropping out and letting Hilton get all those votes because he has to know it's rigged. He's a sheriff. He's got to know. And so Bianco, he's partially to blame for this being as messy as it is at the governor level. Once it was clear he couldn't win, he should have pushed everybody to Hilton if he truly cared about California changing and not about just making his name better. And, this is where I always have problems with this kind of stuff. You know who does do that? The Democrats. Not in this case. They didn't need to. But look at what happened in 2020. When Bernie Sanders was reaching out to the lead again in the primaries, Obama went to Klobuchar, he went to Buttigieg, and he said, drop out. Drop out. We need everybody to get behind Joe because he's the only one who can beat Trump because he's the least, well, first of all, he's the most easily controlled, but he's also the least dangerous on paper. People look at him and, might sympathize and so they at least could make it closer with Biden. And they knew that. And this is a fact. You go to, in 2020, look at the primaries. Buttigieg fully funded, Klobuchar fully funded. They both were performing fairly well. And then in South Carolina, right before South Carolina, they all dropped out and they gave it all to Biden. The Democrats know how to play the game because they play to win. Hilton is the only one who had a legitimate shot here. And Bianco should have done the right thing. He should have done the right thing. Does it mean they will win the governorship? No, but winning is not the point in this particular election because California is such a mess. Now, unless the Trump administration is able to get enough pressure. Remember, though, governorship's still a state race. It's not a federal race. It's not under federal jurisdiction. So even though they could clean up a lot of things with the federal part of California, which ultimately will seep into the others, the odds of them cleaning up the state races right now are very low. Very low, if they even could do it. But you get the attention on it. You get people start fighting it, taking it to the state courts. This is a process. It'll take time. But what would have been very helpful is the statement in the primary that there is a very strong red contingency here in California, which, by looking just at the numbers, we've proven. But again, to the people who don't look at the regular stuff, or I don't deep dive, I should say, you look at Hilton as number one and clearly number one after the primaries, that's a shot across the bow. And that's something Bianco could have helped with, but he chose not to, which sucks. And we'll see what the end game is at. Seth Keschel writes again, it sucks to watch the glaring offense that's California's election system. Left is barely even trying to defend such a national embarrassment. It sucks for candidates and supporters affected and the entire nation impacted by federal races. But, there's a big old but, this is a huge long-term win. This is where I agree with him. It had to happen, had to be seen. It will be forced to change. I guarantee you right now, this is the most paid attention to California primary in history. Nobody's ever paid attention to a California primary as much as they are right now. National attention on a massive level. You know why that is? The left would like us not to be watching. They wanted an easy election that they could just, it goes on as normal. Nobody's really paying that close of attention nationwide. That's what they wanted. Spencer Pratt and Trump, by getting in and endorsing Hilton, made that impossible. And what they did is they put it on full blast so the whole nation could watch and have a little bit of hope. It triggered a bunch of Republicans in California who would have been sitting on their butts, discouraged, to get up and go vote. And now we have a national election happening in a state with a bunch of people cheering and watching on the sidelines. That's a big deal. And there's a lot of people, for the very first time, are watching and saying, what are they doing? A month to count primary votes? That's insane. And even liberal pundits have to weigh in and say how crazy it is, which is a win. Now, while all this is happening in California, nationwide, it continues to be a trend heading in the red direction because Democrats are collapsing. Look at this. Here's where we let Harry in. My favorite New York Jew, Harry. Harry, tell us something good here, Harry. Harry, what do you got for us? Harry's going to be very excited to tell you about this trend happening in the Democratic Party right now.
It right here. I mean, Democrats' net approval of congressional Democrats. Look at this. In October of 2025, right during that shutdown, that first shutdown, plus 22 points on the net approval rating. So Democrats, okay, fairly satisfied with Democrats in Congress. Today, though, look at that. That is an over 30-point drop, a decline right into the ocean right there, minus.
Right into the ocean right there. This is amazing. 31-point swing against the Democrats. And that, my friends, is with them doing pretty much nothing. They shut down the first shutdown. People kind of liked it. At least their base did. This second shutdown and the fact they're feckless and they don't have a message, it's crushing them. And everybody wants you to just look at Trump's approval. Look at Trump's approval. It's doing so bad. The Democrats' approval is way worse. Why does nobody ever talk about that? You know, if somebody's unpopular and the other person is utterly despised and you have to choose between the two, you'll still go with the person who's a little bit unpopular because you're like, I don't like him, but I hate these guys. They don't want you to think about that, do they?
9 points, and I will note it had never been negative. Democrats had always had a positive net approval rating of their own party in Congress, in every Congress before this one. But now what we're seeing is consistent numbers across the board where Democrats
Did you hear what you just said? Let's back that up real quick.
Party in Congress, in every Congress before this one. But now what we're seeing is consistent.
In every Congress before this one, the Democrats were popular among their base, except for this one. This is the first time they've dipped into the negatives. How crazy is that?
Numbers across the board where Democrats are underwater, congressional Democrats are underwater with their own party. And that's why I think these primaries are going to be so interesting, because they're going to tell us, okay, which way do Democrats want their party to go?
But
How
that's the
upset are
question.
they?
Are there signs of that this reflects we want you to be more left or more center or more right?
Yeah, this is the big problem, which is Democrats aren't sure what direction they want their party to go.
Which way do you go, young man? Well, the Democrats don't even know what to do. Look at this. This is wild. But I would disagree with Harry. 50% of Democrats are saying, please move more to the center. You guys are crazy.
Democrats want their party to move left. 28%. Not move at all. 18%. Move center. 47%. This is a party divided where they're not actually giving a clear message of where they want their party to go. The one thing I will say is 61% of all voters want their party to move to the center. So if all of a sudden Democrats are actually going to move to the left, which is not what their party wants, that will actually upset the rest of the electorate. The only thing that really unites Democrats right now is they are very upset with Donald Trump. And I think the candidates who are able to actually capture that, that's the candidates who are going to advance the general election.
That's the only thing they have is more Trump, more Trump. This should give you a little bit of hope, guys. And the reason why is because this shows you 47% of Democrats think their party's gone too crazy. That's nearly 50%. This is a New York Times poll. It's probably higher. It's probably 55%. It tells you there are people that can still be picked off, that are done with the craziness, that are not going to be inspired to vote for these crazy people like Tallarico or Plattner, which is going to bring down the Democrats. See, the signs are all here, and yet we keep being told. Mark Halperin keeps telling us internal polling's so bad for the Republicans. They're terrible. They're terrified. Really? Because everything I'm seeing is trending in the right direction for the midterms, including the fact we just picked up officially the Alabama seat, and now we have 213 safe seats. We only have to pick up 5 of the 16 to hold the House. That's less than 33%. That's right around 30%. Do you guys think we can hit 30% in an election that Trump's overseeing, putting the pressure on to keep it from being rigged? A lot of these toss-ups in red states, I don't know. I feel pretty good about it. I feel pretty good about it. And the Senate is now pretty much locked for the Republicans to hold. But you won't hear this in many other places. There's a couple other people who are reporting what I'm seeing. Not many, though. But them's are the facts, folks. Even the Cook political report, which leans left, has Republicans at 212 safe seats with 18 toss-ups. It's not hard to win when you barely have to squeak out any of them. You really think that the Democrats can pull off 72 to 75% of toss-ups in a wave year? You need a massive wave to hit those numbers, and that's not what we're seeing, as Harry just told us, as Harry just proved to us with his dip to the ocean. Dip down, Harry. Do your dip, Harry. Dab'll do, Harry. Good stuff. Now, Brian Cates has a great point here, and we just saw TPUSA pull off the one upset of a Trump endorsement because they endorsed the other guy. Now, I don't think it was a fight between the two. Trump came in really late on that race in Iowa, and the TPUSA candidate won. But Brian breaks it down like this. Erica Kirk and TPUSA are on deck and ready for the coming midterms. The Dugan Network plan, Candace, Tucker, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, all of them parroting the whole let's destroy TPUSA stuff because they're corrupt. plan to destroy Eric Kirk and sideline TPUSA for these primaries and hopefully block most of Trump's MAGA slate for November has utterly, completely, and totally failed. The network members huddled in Russia last week brainstorming ways to advance their MAGA's dead talking point, which we will talk about in the Grifter Report. Dugan should have asked Candace for a refund. She failed, even with all those viewers. You know, because Candace is not a convincing person, especially once you start seeing how dumb she is and how she keeps backtracking on herself over and over again. It's not hard. The average person can only handle that. Even dumb people, they get tired of no receipts, right? They get tired of nothing happening. And so over time, they walk away. And Candace she couldn't do it. She couldn't pull it off. Just like all the influencers together could not split MAGA. The revenge tour disguised as an investigation in the Charlie Kirk assassination did not have the desired effect on the primaries. Again, and that is the machine they were trying to wipe out, which I've been saying since the very beginning. Why go so hard after TPUSA after Charlie died? Why not even wait for an investigation? Why not even wait for the court trial? Why just go after it 2 weeks after Charlie died? Try to tear down TPUSA because it was always about ending the network that goes door to door, that is so influential on younger people, that really helped boost Trump's numbers in 2024. The TPUSA is the most powerful committee organization for MAGA. It just is. And they wanted to wipe it out because TPUSA is building for the future. You can have your arguments. You can have your disagreements with how they do stuff. That's fine. But you cannot ignore that they're effective. And that for what we want. And that should matter most of all. Until or unless something truly that is a smoking gun comes out. But instead we got frauds like Candace leading the charge. And that should tell you all you need to know. Now, after the midterms, the future continues to look brighter and brighter. And we're starting to see in birth rates, that conservatives are actually having as many children as they were decades ago. So when you hear the birth rates falling, it's barely fallen for conservatives, but the liberals are out. They're letting themselves die off. These people are not focused on the future. It's pretty crazy. And while this election's going on, we're finally getting Trump call him for what it is so we all can see it. And this will only continue to push people as they waken up towards the right side. Trump lets out yesterday, communists always do well with voters, or as they would say, the people in early years. But in the end, the country, state, or city goes to hell. Great violence proceeds at levels never seen before. The entity dissolves into poverty, squalor, and crime. Remember, breathtaking popularity first and then guaranteed death and destruction. This man is not holding out. He's not holding back this time. It is all in. And he's saying this before the primaries. He's doing crazy stuff, by them, before the primaries. Going into Iran, appointing Pulte, ODNI. He doesn't care. Anybody who thinks Trump is beholden, a deep state, he's controlled, absolutely not. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He's waking people up. And he's pissing off the establishment and causing them to make mistakes, which, again, takes us all the way back to what's going on in California, where they are currently making the mistake of doing an obvious rig while everybody's watching. Trump, as usual, smarter than everybody else. And what they're pulling off right now, with everybody watching, with the SCOTUS about to pass, probably strike down mail-in ballots after Election Day, with Trump's executive order being held up, we're starting to see that this kind of stuff, we need to allow it to happen sometimes so that the people can be shown and real change can happen. California, friends, after I've shown you all the numbers and the trends of the last 10 years in California, it's getting redder and redder and redder again. Now imagine what happens once this all cleans up. California could be ours, and I think as early as 2032, California could be a red state again. We'll see how it plays out. But regardless, this year is looking better and better for Republicans. And once we hold on to this year, it's smooth, much smoother sailing in 28, 30, and beyond. So I'm very, very optimistic about where we're headed.